That day, I was assigned by my company's director to travel out of town to complete several tasks at our new branch. To save money, I stayed in a boarding house near the branch. When I arrived, the place was full of dust. "Wow, so dusty, maybe no one stayed here in a long time," I said, coughing from the dust. Then I started cleaning. "This is so tiring, just a bit more, come on Gracia." I cheered myself on. After tidying up the room, I showered, dressed, turned on the fan, and sat on the bed. How refreshing it is after a shower. Soon, I felt sleepy and tried to sleep. Because it was so comfy, I fell asleep easily. Then, I felt someone tugging at my blanket. "Who's pulling my blanket?" I woke up, looked under the bed but no one was there. "Nothing's under here, but I swear I felt the blanket being pulled." I tried to stay positive. "Okay, it's nothing," I told myself, closing my eyes again. Shortly after, I heard scratching on the wall. The noise grew louder. I got goosebumps and traced it to the front door. Someone was knocking at night. "Who's coming at this hour?" I thought. I was too scared to open the door. What if it was a thief? I peeked through the window. Someone was standing outside. How did they get in? I locked the gate, I thought. After rubbing my eyes, I looked again. Nobody was there. Did I imagine it? I felt chills and thought maybe it was a ghost. Stop overthinking, maybe I'm just imagining things since I just woke up. I hurried back to bed and fell asleep again. The next morning, I got ready and went to the office. I was so busy working I forgot lunch. My stomach growled. "Just hold on, I'll go home soon," I told myself. After work, my tasks weren't done, so I took them home. I was starving when I arrived at the room and made fried rice. "So delicious, I can finally eat well," I said, digging in. Then I resumed my office work. Almost midnight, my neck ached and I felt sleepy. How long will this take? I'm so tired. I remembered a friend's advice to combat drowsiness: a cup of coffee. I made one, stirring in the kitchen. Then I heard crying outside the room. Goosebumps rose. I peeked out the window. No one was there. I felt uneasy and rushed back to my laptop to work. Finally, I finished. What a relief. I looked at my phone. It was 2 a.m. I must sleep or I'll oversleep again, I said, rushing to bed, but I couldn't sleep after the coffee. I played some soothing music hoping to fall asleep. Suddenly it changed to crying, startling me. I threw my phone. Moments later, the crying stopped. I got the phone, it was fine, and finally fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up late, rushed to shower, and work without eating. I worked late tonight to catch up. In the room, I showered and ate, then lay down. I heard knocking at the door. I peeked. No one was there. Probably pranksters, I muttered. Soon afterward, I heard crying, followed by pleading, "Help, help me." I shivered but managed to fall asleep again. The next day at lunch, I told my colleague Roni about the noises at room number 13. 13 is scary. A student committed suicide there. She had cancer, he replied. How do you know? I asked. A friend who lived nearby said she slashed her wrists herself. That creeped me out. I was terrified to go back. That evening, on my way home, I felt someone chasing me. I turned and saw a black shadow that vanished. My heart raced. I sprinted home, cleaned, ate, and slept. Around midnight. Why is crying at night disrupting my sleep? I grumbled. I got up and walked to the living room. There in the sofa corner was a woman in a white dress crying. Miss, are you okay? Can I help? I asked nervously. She didn't answer. Blood dripped from her body. Then she lifted her head and stared at me with bulging red eyes, pale face, and tears of blood. I screamed hysterically and ran back to my bedroom, wrapping myself in blankets. Calm down, Gracia, calm, I tried to soothe myself. Once my heart slowed, I thought. Why was she crying? What happened? She didn't respond to me. Then came the scratching again. I was calming down. Now this again. I said angrily. I got goosebumps but eventually fell asleep after tossing and turning. I glanced at the pink clock, 12:45 a.m. I lay still, breathing, trying not to think, knowing I needed sleep to avoid oversleeping for work. I finally fell asleep. In my dream, a man in a black jacket came in with a ring box and approached a bride in a white dress. "My love, I've returned with our wedding ring," he said. "I'm sorry I can't accept it," she replied. "Why? Didn't we promise to marry after I returned?" "I'm sorry, my heart belongs to someone else. I'm getting married today." "Don't joke." "I'm not joking. I'm marrying someone who was always there when you left me." The man was distraught. "If I can't have you, no one will." He slit her wrist, then smashed her head against the wall and ran out. The scene was too real. I woke up startled but realized it was just a dream. I couldn't see the man's face because of the jacket. The scene recalled the room layout. What if it wasn't a suicide but a murder? I wondered. I needed to ask Mrs. Dona, the room owner, about the truth. I wouldn't endure this haunting any longer. At dawn, I went to Mrs. Dona's house. "Ma'am, did Ririn truly die by suicide?" I asked. "Yes, her friend said she was depressed after her boyfriend betrayed her. She slit her wrists," she replied. "Do you have a photo of her?" I asked. She found an old photo of Ririn in a red shirt beside Mrs. Dona. She pointed her out. She looked exactly like the woman in my dream. Could this have been a murder, not suicide? I thought. Who was the friend who said this? I asked. "The young man next to Ririn, his name was Risky Fernando," she said. "Where does he live now?" "He used to live here, now he lives with his aunt on Melatai Street," she replied. I thanked her and returned to work. At lunch, Roni invited me out. I asked him about Melatai Street, since I was visiting Risky. Later, I heard rain that night and hoped to sleep peacefully. Midnight, I woke to a loud noise at the window. I'd left it open. I closed it, then heard banging. A bloody hand tapped the glass. I ran to bed, wrapping myself up. Then I heard pleading, "Help, help," followed by thunder rumbling. Behind me appeared a soaked, long-haired, bloody woman. I ran to the living room, sat quiet for a while to recover, peeked. No one was there. I prayed and slept. The next morning, I went jogging to find Risky's house. I asked locals, found his blue-white home, and knocked. No answer. Later, I bumped into him and Risky himself. I explained I was seeking him about Ririn's death. "Did Ririn slit her wrists?" I asked. "Yes," he replied tensely. "Why?" "I don't know." Sweat appeared on his face. I told him the spirit of Ririn was haunting me through bloody messages. He confessed. "Someone threatened me. If I spoke, they'd kill me. Roni threatened me. I saw him kill Ririn. I'll confess if it means staying safe." He agreed to testify to the police. I took a taxi back to the room. That morning, birds were chirping. I opened my window, still dark, before sunshine, felt chills, then closed it and took my phone. A few hours later, dawn roosters. I showered and went to Roni's house by taxi. At Roni's door. "Gracia. What are you doing here?" he asked. I confronted him. "Did you kill the student at my room?" He laughed, but as police arrived, he was arrested based on Risky's testimony. Risky arrived and said, "Roni, you can't escape. You'll be in prison for life." In interrogation, Roni remained silent. It was then that Ririn's ghost appeared behind him, choking him. The police thought Roni was hallucinating. Roni confessed. "I killed Ririn. I don't want to die." He was imprisoned for life. Risky apologized to Ririn's spirit. "Ririn, forgive me. I'm sorry I didn't report this." Her ghost smiled and vanished. The mystery was solved. I never heard creepy noises or saw bloody messages again. A month later, I finished my out-of-town assignment and returned home.